Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a great day. Today, it's we got a special. It's different on the channel. We've got Brian here from Say Intentions, and we're gonna talk about traffic injection within Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, 2020. Is it also explained to the or is it just on the Microsoft side?
Oh yeah. So for now, it's on the Microsoft side, but we absolutely have plans to bring it into the X-Plane world as well.
And P3D is it's on the professional side. Is that correct?
So P3D may be a little trickier. That one
Yeah.
may be a little further out. Yeah.
but for AI ATC, is it also like regular P3D? I don't know much about the P3D side.
Yeah, so we support out of the box P3D v5. We can also do P3D v6, MSFS 2020, 2024, and X-Plane 11 and X-Plane 12, X-Plane 11 and X-Plane 12. However, we launched here about 3 months ago, and we don't have to talk about it a ton here, but we launched a new thing that I call Sim API that will basically allow any developer to connect our stuff to really any simulator. And we've seen some people do some really cool stuff with this. In fact, I know we've got a couple of community members, for example, who've connected it up to DCS World. And I've seen one or two others as well. So that one, I'm hoping the community takes and runs with and brings in all kinds of cool stuff to connect our stuff to.
Yeah. When you said DCS, I'm like, ooh, my ears like.
Yeah, yes, mine too. And that was what I was hoping when we made it. I was like, man, I really hope that somebody who knows DCS better than me or us or anybody at our team takes this Sim API thing and runs with it. And it was perfect. The integration, it started off a little rough, but they've been refining it for a while now, and it's getting really good. So just that little adapter they built, and you can use our stuff inside of DCS. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm quite impressed. Like I've been I've been around Say Intentions since like it's pretty much a year now, and how things just like it just blows up like very like it's gone really big and improved very quickly. Because like the other day there was like a new airport, Western Sydney Airport. It doesn't release until end of 2026. But Drazwecki Design, they came out with the scenery, and I was like, well, what do I do in this case? I just put that in the Discord, and typical Dutch, he's like, I never heard of that airport, but okay, I'll add it in. So literally 20 minutes later, I'm in the stream, and it's in Say Intentions. Like I was like, wow, that's great.
That is very cool. That's that's very cool. One of the things we're really focused on is this idea of taking this immense amount of data that's needed to provide a really good experience. That sort of, we want to take the experience to the next level usually, but in order to do that, we need access to data that's often not available through the simulator. Like which airlines go with which gate assignments at specific airports, for example. That kind of stuff. It's not in the sim. It's often not really published in any standardized way anywhere online, et cetera, et cetera. And I can think of hundreds of examples of data points like that where we go, man, we really want to make it real and we want it to feel just like it does in real life, but the data is not there, or the data is there, but it's spread out and not in any standardized format. So we've sort of taken the philosophy of just saying, fine, we'll crowdsource it, right? Fine, we'll make it so that our customers can give us that data. And once it's plugged in, of course, everybody wins and everybody benefits from it. And yeah, I think that's a wonderful example of that, of saying, hey, there's this airport. I'm probably the only person who's ever flying in or out of it, but can we can we tune it so that it works really well with say intentions? And generally, the amount of effort to do it once we have the tools is really small, and that's why why you got it back so fast.
Yeah, it was just like to have it set for VFR, because Navigraph, it's not in their database, it's not in SimBrief, nothing, because the airport's not even in existence until next year.
Oh, so this is one of those airports where there is no data on this. Yeah. So yes, that's a great example of this. Our moderator team has the ability to create airports just sort of out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, this is how we have if you fly into Meigs Field, if you happen to have the Meigs Field scenery, it actually all works using their old frequencies and all that stuff, all there. And that's because we have this sort of airport editor where we can go in and add new airports. So assuming they're in your simulator, yes, it lights up and say intentions just works with it.
I think that was probably like the first airport I ever tried to land in. It was like 13, 14. Meigs Field. So like with we've now just moved into the beta part of traffic. We've got IFR, more so the commercial side of things for the traffic injection. So what's the state of it now? Where do we see it in the next couple of months?
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. So we could talk for hours just about traffic injection, but this is let me take you back a little bit, because I think I want to sort of bring you on the journey that we went through as we were developing, the traffic injection product. Back long before we were ever accepting money, we were in this sort of really early beta stage. And, the first iteration of this that I showed people, the only feature that worked was like doing pattern work at a VFR airport. Like that's literally all it did. And, we had a handful of people that were sort of helping us work out the kinks and proving that this would work and proving that we'd be able to scale it to other things. And I remember somebody said, well, hey, this is great that you can do this, but when are you going to be able to do, add other airplanes to the pattern? And I was like, oh my gosh, you know how hard that would be? Like, doing this in Microsoft Flight Simulator is incredibly difficult, because it's not just a matter of adding an airplane and then telling it, giving it a flight plan, like go to A and then B and then C and then D and then land. It turns out that's what it's supposed to be like. And then when you go to try to implement it, nothing works. The sim crashes as soon as the plane lands. It'll be like taxiing along and the wheels don't turn on the airplane. And, it's just like 1,000 little things, and none of them work properly the way it says that it should in the documentation. And I remember staring at this problem and going, can't this be someone else's problem? Like, can't some other developer take this on, this idea of adding traffic? Because there's lots of traffic injection add-ons, and some of them are quite good. Why does it have to be us? Can't we just be the ATC guys? And I struggled with that for a while. And I remember the moment that I finally was like, no, it has to be us, because somebody's got to be able to control that traffic. The traffic's no good if it's not under control, right? And so if we're going to be the ATC guys, unfortunately, that means we also have to be the traffic guys. And I remember, man, I was in a dark place for a while after I realized that, because it's such a difficult thing to do. And so, in fact, I'm looking in your chat room right now. We've got Tom here, Marijan, who's one of our developers, Speedy Retreat, who's one of our developers. And these guys all sort of, went through this nightmare with us together as we were doing this. Huge thanks to Tom, because he's actually the one Marijan here, who actually has sort of had to grind out a lot of these little problems of, gee, Tom, why aren't the wheels turning on that airplane? He's like, geez, I don't know. And so, it's been a wild journey. We've been working on it for well over a year now. Working on it hard for well over a year, with lots and lots and lots of people focused on it full time. In fact, we acquired the Flight Sim plugins AI Flow and AI Ground from a wonderful developer named Roland Foster. Roland's now full-time member of our team who's helping us. And he also we brought him on because he had solved so many of these little problems like we're talking about here. And thanks to him, it moved this project ahead, at a significantly faster pace than we could have done otherwise. And we launched it in alpha state at FS Weekend back in March. And for those of your viewers who don't know, alpha in the software development world, you have a pre-release or preview, and then you have an alpha, and then you have a beta, and then you have a release. And a lot of flight simmers don't understand what alpha and what beta means. So I'll give you the rundown here. Alpha is what happens when you say, look, I kind of want people to be able to see it and play with it, but it's not done. Meaning, there's still like 9 features that I want to add to it, and they're not there yet. And the other features that are there definitely don't work. But it's kind of to a point where you can get the gist of what we're trying to do. And then once you're done with alpha, you move into beta, which is, hey, it's feature complete, like all the core things are inside of it, but they don't work, right? They're broken. Or maybe we think it's sort of ready, but we need some help finding all of the bugs. Yes, we know there's a lot of bugs. And then from beta, you move into this release stage, which is where you're supposed. A release done properly says, look, all the critical bugs are out of there, and we believe that you'll have a wonderful experience with it. Is it bug free? No, because there's no such thing as software that's bug free. But we believe that all the critical bugs are out of it. And I think in the flight sim world, people see that term beta and they associate it with cool new stuff rather than, hey, it's broken, right? Or hey, it actually does have critical bugs in it. But I'm really proud of the fact that in March we released it as an alpha, as a preview. We put it out to our partner customers, who did a wonderful job giving us lots of really, really valuable feedback. We iterated with daily updates, daily fixes, daily improvements. And it was here maybe a month ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that, where we moved from alpha to beta. And beta, we're basically making that available to all of our subscribers and saying, look, here it is. All the features are there. There's still a lot of stuff that there's a lot of critical bugs. There's a lot of things that aren't working the way that we want. And you've got it sort of on the screen here. And I'm sure that would be evident if we were sort of following the traffic around. You would see some little things where you're like, it's a little odd. But we continue to iterate, every day. New releases, new fixes, new updates, daily as we work on this. So that's where we're at right now. We're making progress, and it continues to get better literally every day.
Yeah, because I'm actually looking at that right now, and it's like we're at LaGuardia, and pretty much all the gates are filled up. And what I've noticed is that Delta is where Delta should be. They're all in the same area. And then American Airlines is all the way at the other end. And then there's like a mix here and there. But like, I don't know if they're actually supposed to be in those spots, but the first time I got it,
almost certainly that's correct. Yeah. And this is something that is really, really cool that we're super proud of is, whatever airport you go to, when you fire this thing up, it should look and feel just like that airport does in real life at that time of day. So it actually uses your in-sim time. In fact, we should talk about this for just a minute, because you just pointed out something that's really cool. And it's it's something that we had to add, or something we put a lot of thought into about how to approach it. One of the top questions that we get is, oh, please tell me that you're using the ADS-B data and that all of the injected traffic is like real world injected traffic, right? Because there are some traffic injection plugins that do that. And the idea being, if you see an airplane turning onto the runway at that moment, that in real life there is actually an airplane turning onto that runway at that moment. It's very cool. That's the concept of using the ADS-B data for live traffic injection. And we actually don't do that. We opted not to for a number of reasons. The first reason that we opted not to do that is because that traffic is not, we're not in control of that traffic. Well, let me back up, because an even more important reason is we wanted our customers to be able to run the sim at any time of day, and we wanted the airport to look like it would at that time of day, right? So if you set Atlanta to 7 a.m. and you're in Atlanta and your sim time is 7 a.m., we want it to look like 7 a.m. in Atlanta.
Yep.
If we use ADS-B data, that's actually not possible because the only thing we can do is make it look like Atlanta at the current time in real life, right?
Yep.
So having customers be able to set that, to set the custom time as well as custom weather. We wanted people to be able to run, a very different weather sequence than what's happening in the real world at that time. And that means that runways have to change, approaches have to change, procedures have to change. All kinds of things now have to be different from the ADS-B data that, you just can't do any other way. So that was the first thing where we went, well, okay, that's not going to work. And then we hit another roadblock that sort of was the deciding factor, which was the real world traffic is actually under the control of a different ATC. It's under control of real ATC, right?
Yep.
And traffic at these big airports like Atlanta or JFK or LaGuardia is already very tightly sequenced, right? If you've ever been, on a passenger plane and the plane is 3 minutes late pushing back from the gate, you know that it creates this huge like cascading delay problem for the airline and the airport and all kinds of things. Like this stuff is designed to work on the clock. And so the question is, if the traffic is already very tightly sequenced, where are we supposed to put you? Because now suddenly you're an extra airplane in the whole sequence, right? There's nowhere to put you. And when you combine that with the fact that we can't control the traffic, meaning you're now doing something sort of unpredictable, and we now need the traffic to turn left or to turn right or to speed up or slow down, and they don't obey our commands because they're under the control of a different air traffic controller. So all of these sort of reasons came together, and we said, all right, we can't use real world flight data, and all the people who have given up on all of those things, right? They're not building air traffic control software. Is really what it comes down to. And that was okay. And so we said, all right, instead, let's base all of this on just real world gate data, real world schedules, all of those things, so that if you're in Atlanta at 7 a.m. and you see a flight pushing back from gate A17, and it should be Delta, flight 2123 to Cincinnati, right? Because that's what it is in real life. So we've modeled that. We've got all of the real world gate schedules and all of those things. And what ends up happening is you get this sort of real world feel for the airport, but now you can change the time, you can change the weather, the runways can change, the sequences can all change, and it still should flow correctly. And now we can control the traffic and put it where we want it and adjust it, but knowing that it's all based on, real world schedules. It's awesome. I feel like we struck a really good balance here, and I'm really proud of us for making that difficult decision. But in hindsight, it seems really obvious that this is how it should be.
Because a couple of weeks ago, I was flying out of here in Halifax, and I got to the airport, a traffic injection happened. I'm like, why is Korea Air here in Halifax? It's like a 777 or something. And I'm like, what's that doing here? And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. It goes like almost every day from here to Anchorage. Korea Air, it's like cargo. And it was like,
that is so cool.
I was like, wow, it's crazy. And then like here in, there was like PAL Airlines. Well, PAL is like just like a very like small regional airline, like just for like the Maritimes here in Canada. And I was like, whoa, because I've got it set up so that it's taken from my FSL TL, but it was like the aircraft I was seeing was stuff that I would actually see at the airport.
That is so cool. That is awesome. Yeah, I've had those moments too where we've been doing all this testing and stuff, and we'll be at an airport and I'll see an airplane there with particular livery, and I'm like, oh crap, we got a bug. Like, why is that sitting there? And then we like dive into it, and I'm like, I think it's really supposed to be there. Like that's pretty cool. So yeah, we've had those same moments, and the ultimate, as this has all come together, it's been very, very cool to see this. We're in that beta stage right now, but there's still a few features we're missing that we want to bring into this, I think, before we launch. I know I said alpha is when it's feature complete and things like that, but one thing that is missing right now, and I'll give you guys the the kind of lowdown here on where we're at, if your viewers don't mind getting a little insider
Yeah.
information, we really want to bring VFR and GA traffic into this thing, because any airport, aviation is not just about commercial traffic, right? It's not just about
Yep.
the big jets and things like that. They're cool and we love them, and yes, of course they should be where the focus is at big airports. But big airports often have whole sections that are dedicated to general aviation, and small airports are mostly general aviation. And if you look in at ADS-B data, tons of airplanes are in the air at any given time that are GA aircraft. They don't have full flight plans, and they're not predictable, and those kinds of things. And we really want to bring that into our ecosystem. We want those it's really three kinds of aircraft that we need to add. Four, I guess, maybe a good way to think about it. But let's break it into three for now. The first one is GA IFR aircraft, right? Business jets and things like that. Often those guys are filing last minute flight plans, so we don't get that data in the real world gate schedules. They're not operated by commercial carriers, things like that. We want those in there. Those are a really cool addition to any airport. Second, it's GA VFR traffic that is under the control of ATC. And what I mean by that is they're flying around, but they usually have a flight following. ATC knows where they're going roughly, and they're controlled airplanes. But third, and not a lot of people realize this, is that there's this whole other segment of traffic, and there's tons of them. Airplanes, especially in the US, are under no obligation to be in communication with ATC. It's not a law, it's not a rule. Unless you're inside of a controlled airspace, a busy airport, you have no obligation to be talking to ATC at all, which is mind-blowing when you think about it. But if you look at the live ADS-B data, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of these airplanes that are cruising around that aren't talking to anybody, right? In fact, you don't even have, a lot of people, you don't even have to have a radio in your airplane. Like, it's not a legal requirement to have one. And so we want to add all three of those categories into our traffic injection. And I can say that we're very close on this. In this case, we're not using real world gate schedules and things like that because there is no data for this. But we've got some really interesting solutions on solving this, and we're very close. We're weeks away from bringing that in.
Okay, because I was thinking, well, like maybe like today I did a flight from Bryce Canyon down to the Grand Canyon. When I got to the Grand Canyon, there was, because I have all the traffic, like the default traffic off, but there was GA aircraft there, and I was like, was that there because of like the actual airport, or was that you guys?
It was probably us. You're in an area where we're doing a little bit of testing, and so I would not be surprised if a few airplanes leaked over there. That's funny.
Yeah, because I was like, but then I was thinking, would you take like previous customer flights and use that as GA traffic in that area?
You're onto something.
Yeah.
You're onto something. Yes.
Okay.
You're getting it.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking. But yeah, that will like populate the sky, because like the flights, I was talking to ATC with Center, and then I could hear all the commercial stuff happening above me. Take out the tablets, and in the tablet I could see the aircraft on the map. I was like, oh yeah, it keeps interesting. But once you have the VFR traffic in, it then just makes it even more livelier.
We want the airspace to feel just like it does in real life. We really do. And we want, so that's why we want that huge mix of traffic in there. We want all of it, because each one represents a different a different thing that the pilot has to be paying attention to, right? It's cool to hear the traffic, but I think people don't realize that there's an actual workload element that goes along with that for a real world pilot, right? They're not just listening for their call sign, they're listening for other airplanes being given instructions that might conflict with them. Hey, what did he just tell that guy to do? Because he's sitting right over there, and that might affect me. And real world pilots are again, you're listening for a lot more than just your call sign. You're listening for stuff going on. Plus, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, we also give out traffic advisories, and that's why those uncontrolled GA aircraft are so cool. Is ATC will point them out to you. They'll just say, traffic at your 2 o'clock, same altitude, Skyhawk, and they'll just say that, and you say, well, where's he going? And ATC's like, I don't know, he's not talking to me, but. Or they'll say type unknown. They'll just be like, I see an airplane out there. I don't know what it is. He's not talking to me. I have no idea, but watch out. And we want to add that element. We want to add that sort of unknown piece to the sim too. And so coming soon.
And when you said advisories, I did have a flight into Brisbane, and I gave the comms over to Captain Canada. He was my first officer. And
isn't that cool?
I wasn't even paying attention to the radios. I'm just trying to land the plane. And I didn't know the advisory was there was birds in the area. And then all of a sudden I see the birds flying right in my face. I'm like, holy shit, what's going on here?
You discovered one of our Easter eggs.
Yes. I was like, oh man.
So this happens to us all the time. The bird thing is so funny. Happens to us all the time. In fact, it was as we were building out the traffic injection and the object injection and all this stuff, and we were really trying to solve this problem of introducing elements of randomness and elements of chaos into the mix. Sometimes this stuff looks too perfect. It looks too good, and you're like, it's not quite, it no longer looks realistic because it's too good. And we said, wow, I want elements of random, all this stuff. Anyway, it resulted in me, I was experimenting with it, and I just threw in, some of the MSFS default bird objects, which can be animated and move around. And I went, oh, this would be cool. Oh, this would be cool. And so, 20 minutes later, we set it up so that, at very small odds, right, you may have ATC tell you, hey, caution bird activity over that runway. Other pilots have reported bird issues. And if that happens, there's a small percentage chance that you'll see the flock of birds that we designed flying right over your approach path on the runway. It's very rare. But it's something that just like it would do a real pilot, we hope it wakes you up a little bit when it happens. You're like, whoa!
It woke me up. Yeah,
so cool.
And the funny thing was, the first time I used Captain Canada as the first officer, I asked him, who do I have the pleasure of flying with today? Oh, I'm Captain Canada, and then he went on about Irish. He got mixed up with Two-Tone Murphy. He had
that's a weird bug. Okay.
He had an identity crisis kind of thing, and then after that, I think like the third time, never had an issue. But it was like I just found it funny, like the two streamers and the identity
crisis. That's funny. Yeah, we probably had a wire crossed somewhere that we probably got untangled at some point. So happens. But that's kind of the nature of our sort of rapid development model that we use. It's a little bit unusual in the flight sim community. There's pros and cons to it and things like that, but the vast majority of what we do is cloud-based, right? Most of our software is in the cloud, not on your PC. In fact, if you look at the size of our download, it's like 35 megabytes or something. I mean, it's ridiculously tiny. And it's because it doesn't really do anything other than just, it listens to your mic and can make sure your button is pushed and, the really, really simple things. The vast majority of the logic is in the cloud, which means that we can use a development model known as CI/CD. It stands for continuous integration, continuous delivery. And without you having to download new software all the time, we can update the core application logic without you even realizing we've done it. In the middle of a flight, sometimes
Yep.
we'll change. In fact, all the time, in the middle of flights. And so, we're pushing out updates, bug fixes, patches, improvements. I could look. I did 14 yesterday, deployments, like live, like while
Yep.
people are flying. No download needed. So, there's pros and cons to that. One of the cons is every once in a while we screw something up, right? We
Yeah.
get something wrong, and I have to go in and fix it. And that you might have caught us on just one of those moments. That's funny.
And the thing is like, even if you do screw up, you're able to either retract it or fix it very quickly. Where
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, usually as soon as we realize we've made a mistake, we can have the fix deployed, equally as quickly, seconds
yeah,
usually. Like, oh no, I know, I'll quickly roll that change back and we'll take another look at it. Yeah.
because
So it's
I
not like you're stuck with it. Yeah.
yeah, because I find a lot of software, or like even when we look at Microsoft, like 2024, like, yeah, there's this whole like 2 month beta process, and then when it does release, it's probably gonna break something. Then it takes you guys. I know it's not as big as like, it's a different type of program, but you're able to do things very quickly, and
Yeah, we have a giant
use your team.
advantage.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a giant advantage there, and it's just the nature of the way our software can be written. We don't rely on data from inside of the simulator. We don't really have to put things in your community folder. The only information that we're really getting out of the sim is your basic telemetry data,
yeah,
altitude, speed, heading, that kind of stuff. The same stuff a real air traffic controller gets from their radar, right?
mm,
And that's really how we wanted it designed in the first place, because we said, look, if we're pulling data out of the sim to do this, we're cheating, right?
yeah,
We're now using data that real world air traffic controllers would never have. And it might let us start creating a product that's too perfect, et cetera, et cetera. And so yeah, we really pride ourselves on the idea that the connection to the sim is super thin. But there's plenty of flight sim developers who can't do that, right? If you're building airplanes, or you're building scenery, or you're building the simulator itself, right? You can't do that. And so no judgment on those who have to use sort of a more traditional software
yeah.
deployment model. And I've worked in software my whole life. Yeah, it's hard, and it takes a lot longer to fix bugs, and you're really careful when you deploy stuff, because you don't want to go through an emergency release cycle, and all that stuff. So we're very fortunate to have the kind of product that allows us to operate the way that we do.
And I see Marijan saying those birds, they could do damage, but you decide not to do the damage.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing. Our customers get really bent out of shape if we ruin their flight.
Yeah,
Yeah. So everybody wants like this ultra immersive, highly realistic environment until the exception actually becomes a real exception, and they're like, "Hey,
yeah,
I didn't want that." And so yeah, we try to strike this middle ground where we can certainly simulate issues happening, and we can simulate all kinds of things, but ultimately we've made the decision not to ruin somebody's flight. In fact, there was a question, if I scroll up in
yeah,
your chat room, I don't remember how it was worded, but it was something like, gee, why don't could you simulate emergencies that are impacting the aircraft systems, for example? Maybe, and I'm just inventing this, but
yeah,
maybe we could simulate an emergency where your gear won't go down, where
yeah,
there's a landing gear failure and that goes down. And we actually could. In fact, we built it all, got it to a point where we considered that to be an alpha stage product, where we could actually simulate aircraft failures and all kinds of cool stuff, and ultimately decided not to release it. The problem we had was, we were very concerned about the massive incoming support workload from people saying something went wrong on my flight and it's your fault. And
yeah,
then us looking at it and going, geez, I don't think we don't mess with your airplane. Oh crap, we do mess with your airplane. And so, in our opinion, we backed away from it, and I think wisely so. I don't regret that at all. But there's actually lots of really cool add-ons that can simulate aircraft failures. And if you want to use those, I'd say plug them in and use them, and then use our stuff to see how your crew and ATC and everybody else in the universe responds to that failure. So yeah, we backed away from the idea of creating the failures on our own.
Yeah,
And I think wisely so.
Yeah, I guess like leave it to the PMDGs, the indie builds, to have their failures, and then just say, hey, Erica, looks like we got this situation, and then that will get her going to whatever. Like,
Yeah. And I think as soon as like that I had that moment of clarity, I just went, oh my gosh, what were we thinking?
yeah,
This is not our role to be introducing aircraft, failures and equipment failures and things
yeah.
like that. That's not there. That's not our job as who we are. So yeah, I'm so glad we backed away from that.
And one of the first questions that Marsh had, any plans to expand the Pocket Sky?
Yeah, Pocket Sky. Let's talk about Pocket Sky.
Yeah, let's talk about Pocket Sky, because right now it's for partners. He's wondering when's that going to be released to the premium subscribers.
Okay, yeah. So for those who don't know, hang on, I got to start up Pocket Sky here on my phone. And I don't even have a flight going right now. So my Pocket Sky, let me fire up my little laptop here. Let me see what comes up. Yeah, Pocket Sky is going to be a little thin, but yeah, I should have thought about this before we started, because I could have had it all fired up and like ready to go. But
yeah,
and I'm seeing a significantly delayed version of my camera here. So anyway, there's Pocket Sky on my phone. Pocket Sky, for those who don't know, Pocket Sky is an app you can download onto your iOS or Android device, your phone, your tablet, whatever it may be. And it has all kinds of interesting things on it. It links back to the SayIntentions servers. You can monitor your flight. It'll tell you, your altitude, your heading, your estimated time of arrival. There it is. Yeah, that's awesome. Yours is much better than the one that I had up. So basic ability to monitor your flight. Cool. There's some stuff that does that. But you can also manage all of the comms. So, you can see your message history from ATC. You can send messages to air traffic control, and you can also communicate with your intercom passengers using Pocket Sky. So your cabin crew, all that stuff. You can basically pull this up and see ATC's trying to talk to me, my crew's trying to talk to me, my co-pilot's trying to talk to me, et cetera, and you can interact with them through your phone. You can use it for frequency lookups, airport lookups, ATIS lookups, all kinds of cool stuff that you can use this for. But the big sort of aha moment for us was we wanted this to be able to work regardless of where you were in the world. I think there's a number of add-ons out there. Don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure there's a number of add-ons out there that will let you have sort of a mobile experience, and you can see some of this stuff on your phone. But it only works if you're on the same network as your flight sim. So it only works if you're home.
Yeah.
But we wanted this to work no matter where you were. So you could go to the grocery store and track your flight. I love this concept. So that's Pocket Sky. We announced it at FS Expo. And at FS Expo, we basically said it's available now to our partner customers. You can download it and you can start using it right away. And that's because we considered, everybody goes, well, why do your partner customers, why do you start with them? And the answer is because it's alpha. We talked about what that means, right? Alpha means it's not even feature complete, but here you go. You can sort of see a concept of what we're headed for here, and you can sort of play with it and stuff like that. And so, yeah, we announced it at FS Expo. Our partner customers have now been using it since then. That's been about a month now.
Yep.
Yeah, about a month since FS Expo. And the question is, when will it be available to the rest of our subscribers? And the answer is when we feel like it's stable and done and ready. And I would say we're, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks away from that. Maybe we're getting really close to getting it into everybody's hands. However, I do want to mention anybody can become a partner customer. However, I want to caution, if you're thinking about becoming a partner customer just so that you can get access to, these early features, please don't do that, because they're broken. It costs, so the way our partner program works, it's a $50 one-time thing. You're a partner for as long as you're a subscriber at that point. And the partners, again, the big big draw, I guess, is they get early access to these new things. They got early access to traffic, they got early access to Pocket Sky, they got early access to dozens of other features. Kind of get the first look at them. And again, it would be a terrible idea to pay us the $50 to become a partner just so you can get access to broken software. Please don't do that. You'll just be mad, and I don't want people mad at us.
Yeah.
But most of our partners join the partner program because they want to support what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
The revenue that we have raised from our partner program, for example, allowed us to significantly accelerate the development of our traffic injection system. The revenue from our partner program allowed us to significantly accelerate the creation of Pocket Sky. And so, it's a way to sort of add a little extra support to what we're trying to do. And we're super grateful to our partner program and our partner community and everything that those guys do for us. But yeah, that's the partner program. Anybody can join. But hang in there, because we're trying to get Pocket Sky into everybody's hands here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm very excited about this.
Because I've been using it since it went into the partners, and I went upstairs. I was cooking. I remember I was cooking bacon, and I'm on stream, and I'm upstairs cooking bacon, and then I go and I send a message to Erica, and I'm like, hey, can you tell the viewers or the passengers to like and subscribe? And then shortly after, like, I don't hear it because I'm not watching the stream, but like Marshy's like, what's he telling her? Because she's now saying stuff, because they only hear one side of the conversation. So
that is awesome. That's hilarious.
And then another thing that we did was there was a new member on the channel, and it was a Reverend, his last name, but it was Reverend something. And I said, oh yeah, by the way, Erica, welcome the 2 new members on the plane, and then I want you to get them all drinks. The Reverend, just orange juice. Ed, you get a tequila sunrise. And then Marshy gets like a 1945, I don't know, like it was like 10 names long, red wine. And she's like,
I love this.
She repeats it right back and says it's been served. And then we're coming into LaGuardia to land from Halifax, and my landings aren't the best, so I said, hey, Erica, could you have the Reverend pray for the landing? And Erica says, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to land, but we would like to call upon the Reverend O'Neill. And I was like, what? She remembered his name from when I earlier said to welcome him.
Yeah.
So she's like, the Reverend O'Neill, to pray for the landing. And then I said, well, because awesome. I can't hear the prayer. So I'm like, can you tell me, like, the prayer's been done? Yeah, the prayer's been done. I said, well, can you translate it? She's like, I can't do that. I said, okay. But then I was like, so did he say the prayer? Yes. Reverend O'Neill said the prayer. I'm like, sweet. I was like, but it's just like, for me, like on stream, it just makes things more like lively. Like you can do things that are like out of the normal, from like just flying point A to point B. Free bar, no refunds, Airways. Exactly.
I love this. Yeah, I love this. That is so funny. Well, and it's so many people pigeonhole us into being, one of the air traffic control add-ons out there, right? There's a bunch of them out there, and they all have various pros and cons. And I think so many people just sort of throw us onto that list and say, well, they're just an expensive air traffic control solution. And man, that kills me every time, because I'm like, oh yes, air traffic control is like the centerpiece of what we do, no question about it. But there's so much more to that, and that's why we sort of rebranded ourselves as the AI ecosystem for flight sim, because there's so many other things that go around it. The cabin crews are so much fun,
Yeah.
right? And they can be as funny or as serious as you want them to be. Your co-pilot, it's tons of fun, can be as funny or serious as you want it to be. And you know, there's tons of this stuff. And the reality is the future of this stuff is very bright, right? This stuff can only get better. It can only get smarter. It can only get more fun. Um, and you know, we're now in this awesome position where, you know, we can experiment with this stuff and monkey with it, and stuff that works will get in people's hands quickly, and stuff that doesn't work, well, we promise we won't ruin too many flights with it, right? But the future of this stuff is very bright, right? AI is just going to get better. It's just going to get faster. And you know, I hope we've demonstrated to our community that, gosh, we want to keep giving people more and more and more for their money, right? Yes, we're
Yeah.
expensive. I get it. I get it. I don't like our pricing model, you know, any more than anybody else. That usage-based component, every time you use our stuff, you know, the cash register rings in multiple places, right? It costs money. But you know, our hope is that becomes more and more of a no-brainer for people as we continue to give people more and more and more. Pocket Sky is a great example of that, right? We didn't. It's free. It's included with your subscription.
Yep. Yeah, because back to that cooking bacon and sending messages, I was like, the bacon still wasn't ready yet, but then I got a message saying, "You're at top of a descent." I'm like, shoot, I gotta get back downstairs. I'm like, put the bacon aside. I'm like, all right, because I gotta control the aircraft and start the descent. But I was like, man, like before Pocket Sky, yeah, I'd have to come back and check or actually watch the stream to see what was going on in the
Oh
flight.
my goodness. Imagine if you actually had to like pay attention to your flight the whole time. Nobody wants to live like that.
Yeah.
No, and it's such a perfect example of, you know, we want people to be able to flight sim however they want to flight sim, right? If you're the kind of person who wants to sit in your cockpit for a 20-hour flight and, you know, stare at the screen the whole time, great, do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But most of us, you know, are willing to skip the boring part of the flight. And I think Pocket Sky just, you know, makes that awesome. By the way, we do have plans to add a feature to Pocket Sky for an automatic pause at top of descent.
Okay.
So yeah, and I know there's some airplanes that'll let you do that.
Yep.
I think like the Phoenix and the PMDG and stuff have that feature, but wouldn't it be cool if you could do that with any airplane?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, well, there's stuff like that we plan to, you know, add to Pocket Sky. Anything that makes sense to have in, you know, in from a mobile perspective, we want in that app, because now we have a direct connection to the simulator through the app you know, from anywhere in the world, and we plan to double down on that as time goes on.
And you were talking about 20-hour flights. I asked Justice the other day. I said, "Did sayintentions run for 19 and a half hours straight?" I think so. What, are you thinking of like a marathon or something? I said, well, the longest flight is from Singapore to JFK or I think JFK or Newark. I was like, if I get 25 members on the channel by the end of August, I'll do a flight and test the 19 and a half hours. So yeah, it's I'll see if I can get it to work and have also the sim work for that time. You know,
that's the question, is not whether sayintentions will work for 20 hours. It's whether the sim will stay going for 20 hours. No, I can tell you for sure that our stuff will handle flights that go for 3, 4, 5 days. I will often put my my laptop here running Microsoft Flight Simulator into sort of, I set my fuel to unlimited, and then I'll run it through these really extensive like multi-hour loops, because a lot of times I'm just trying to test and I just want my plane to be moving and I don't want to deal with trying to fly it. And so I'll set up these, you know, autopilot scenarios where it'll fly for forever basically. And I've left it going for 3, 4, 5 days before, and our stuff's never had an issue. It doesn't care. In fact, one of the big questions we get from people is, can I close the app during a long flight? Yeah, go ahead. That's fine. You can close it down, open it back up again. It'll pick up right where you are or were. It truly doesn't care. And we're actually really proud of that. You know, again, that's one of the advantages of the fact that this thing's in the cloud and that it doesn't need data from your sim. you could even restart your simulator and like put the plane, like if the sim crashed it in midair, like you could just restart the sim, put your plane back where it was, and our stuff would pick up right where you left off. It would have no idea that the sim had crashed.
Yeah, I guess unless you click on new flights. Yeah,
Correct. Yeah. As soon as you click on new flight, you've started over, right? But as long as you don't click that, yeah, it'll try to figure it out.
And Marsh asks, any plans to expand Pocket Sky with observer passenger features, even simple ways to interact passively or follow favorite pilots or creators?
Oh my gosh, what a great idea! I've never had. I have not heard that suggestion yet. So the answer is no. But what an interesting idea.
Yeah, because
ooh, I like this idea. What a great concept.
Because then, like, if I'm flying, people are watching the stream. Well, let's say they're now away from their device, but they want to see where I'm at. Well,
what a great idea. I'm now thinking about this. Yes, there are plans for this now. That's a great idea. Let me talk to my team. I think that's. I can't think of any reason why not, and therefore I'm like, yeah, we need to get that done because that is such a great idea. Okay.
Yeah.
How's that for an answer? I don't want to officially say it's coming, but I can't think of any reason why it wouldn't. So hang in there.
Yeah. Trying to see if, because he had questions at the beginning. See if
there were a bunch of good questions at the beginning. I think I missed most of them, and maybe I can't go back and find them now. Looks like I can only scroll back so far, but there were some really good ones.
Some established.
Oh, here we go.
Got one?
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. A passenger could communicate with the cabin crew. Oh, that would be funny if we could make it so that the your viewers could latch onto your flight and then take on the role of a passenger. That would be funny. Initiate the crisis. Yeah, they could be the ones throwing the tantrum or something. That would be really funny. That would be very funny. I got to think about that. I got to think that one through. That has all kinds of pros and cons there. Oh, monetize it. Yeah. Monetizing that on behalf of the streamer would be very funny, right? You know, not for us. Like I wouldn't look for money from that, but you guys might be able to do like a charity event or something.
Yeah.
And do that. That's a funny idea. I have to think about that one. I don't want to respond to that one. I have to think about that one.
Well, yeah, because I just started like with channel members. They now get free drinks and snacks on my flights.
Yeah. See, what a great idea. That's such a cool use of our cabin crews.
Yeah. Because,
okay, let's see.
Because Marsh was wondering if you would be able to connect to YouTube to say, so like he would be able to say, hey, I want a bottle of cognac, and then it goes to the flight attendant and then flight attendant. But
hand them out to specific people on your who are
yeah, and I was like, well, the thing is like I've seen like a lot of stuff integrating with Twitch, but with YouTube chat, it's a lot tougher to integrate that kind of stuff. But yeah, but yeah, it's there, like great idea.
Yeah, it is a great idea. Okay, so here's one. It says some established online ATC platforms have long held special events like Cross the Pond or Oshkosh fly-ins. Is that something we've thought about? Yes, actually. We've thought a lot about this stuff. Special events, Oshkosh specifically is something that we're thinking about. And I'll just mention right now, because I know Pilot Edge does an Oshkosh fly-in every year. They just finished theirs, so they do it just prior to EAA. And I just want to be very clear when I talk about Oshkosh, nobody does it better than Pilot Edge. Nobody ever will. You can't beat a human network for ATC. I love Pilot Edge. I love their Oshkosh fly-in. It is the coolest event. If you want a super cool experience, everybody here should go try it. Give them money. Please support them. Love Pilot Edge. That said, yeah, a lot of people are surprised when I say that. I'm like, I don't know why. They've got such a great network. That said, there's one major disadvantage to the Pilot Edge Oshkosh fly-in, and that is that you can only fly it 4 days a year, right? And so we're now working. In fact, in your chat room is a gentleman with the handle of Speedy Retreat. His name's Chris. He's on our development team.
Yep.
He's been working now tirelessly for quite a while on building our own Oshkosh fly-in thing. And the idea is you'll be able to fly it anytime you want, any day of the year. You'll set your transponder code to a very specific code, and that will sort of tell it, hey, I want the EAA AirVenture fly-in experience. And for those who've never done it, it is wildly different from the way normal air traffic control works. It's very, very strange because you're not allowed to talk to ATC. They talk to you. It's a one-way broadcast. They actually sound like radio DJs. And they talk nonstop, but there is no space for the pilot to respond back. And so it's a very unique air traffic control experience. There's nothing else like it anywhere in the world. And it's a ton of fun. I mean, it is really, really fun. You identify yourself by rocking your wings. We'll have all of that. You land on the yellow dot or the green dot or whatever dot they tell you to. We'll have all of that. And it's going to feel busy and it's going to feel chaotic the way the real fly-in does. I'm really, really, really excited about this. And coming soon is the answer to that. No, it's not going to be as good as the Pilot Edge one. Nothing could replace how good those guys do it, but it'll be cool and it'll be really fun. And we're not going to charge extra for it or anything like that. It'll be baked into. You'll get it with your subscription.
And I see Speedy Retreat is literally working on it right now.
Literally as we speak. Yeah, I can say we've got a dev chat room and stuff like that, and he's literally working on it as we speak. And he actually made a ton of progress in the past 72 hours where we feel like we're really starting to get close. So hang on, stuff like that is coming, starting with the Oshkosh one. And again, just another example of cool stuff that we're trying to give people. We've actually been putting that off forever. From the day we first created this, I thought, oh man, Oshkosh would be so cool. And we kept putting it off because I was like, man, you know how much it's almost like its own product. There's so much work we have to do because it's so different and unique and doesn't follow any of the normal rules. And I'm super happy that we finally reached a point where we were able to take one of our very valuable development resources and say, go do Oshkosh, right? Let's get this right. And so, been working on it hard. There was one other one here that I thought was cool. If you want to jump into the next question, I don't know if you're ready for it. Okay.
Just thanks, Derek, for the super chat. He was asking, can we use traffic injection on career mode in MSFS?
Oh yeah. Oh, what a great question. Oh, you're right. It's big and orange. I guess that means we should pay attention to it, right?
Yeah.
Derek. Yeah, thank you. That is a really, really good question. The answer is, I think so. I can't think of any reason it wouldn't work. Tom, are you listening? Can you speak to that? I think it would work just fine.
I haven't tried it. I haven't tried.
I know our ATC works just fine in career mode. I don't know the answer to that. I know Tom's going to jump in here. Marijan is going to jump in here and give me probably a definitive yes or no, or he might have the same answer, which is I have no idea. So let's see what Tom says.
Speedy Retreat says, I like the idea of using ours to practice for the Pilot Edge, to practice for the Oshkosh.
Yeah, I love that idea too. And by the way, that's how I feel about like our stuff and VATSIM or our stuff and Iveo is, there's so many people who really want to use those human networks. Again, our stuff will never be as cool as using a network that is controlled by, a really well-trained human, right? Yeah. It's so cool when that happens. And we have no delusions of grandeur that our stuff is just so much better than that. It's not. Our advantage is it's 24/7, 365, every airport in the world, right? We always have coverage. That's what we do. If we're speaking about ATC. The idea of using our stuff to become a good VATSIM pilot or using our stuff to become a good Iveo pilot or to become a good Pilot Edge pilot, of course, yes, that's such a wonderful way to train and learn so that you can sort of graduate into those other networks. It's such a great way to think about it. And Tom gave the same answer I did. It'll probably work. I don't know.
And like for me, like I've been on for over the last year, but I could be on student and get more verbiage than if like regular. Then you can go like you can graduate up with the AI ATC, which is really good. Because like I've done some VATSIM stuff, but I've had some good times and I've had some like really bad times. Like they never saw I was like new, so it was just like
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and this is no knock on
yeah,
VATSIM or Iveo. Look, they got a tough job. They got a lot of people.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, there always seems to be. I've heard that story 10,000 times, which is, I want to use those networks, but I don't have a good experience when I get something wrong, and that's okay. Look,
yeah.
I get it. I really do, and again, not a knock on those guys. So yeah, use our stuff to get comfortable with it, to learn it,
Mm-hmm.
to figure out the pace and the cadence, and know and feel confident in what you're saying, and then go to those guys when they when
Yeah.
they're at your favorite airport and you've got coverage. By the way, this is actually really interesting. We crossed a really interesting milestone here a while back, which is that we now provide coverage, ATC coverage, to more active flights at any given time than all of the human networks combined.
Oh
So
wow.
Aveo, Pilot Edge,
Yeah.
VATSIM, et cetera. If you combine all of the coverage that they provide, we're now outpacing them in terms of total number of aircraft receiving ATC coverage. Yeah, I'm very proud of that milestone. It was a big deal.
Yeah, because like it, and I know it's been introduced a while back, but like the handoff from like VATSIM over to say intentions, because like when you're going, like if I'm going from Halifax to Montreal, I get to Moncton Center is fine, Boston Center is good, but as I'm about to get into Montreal, Montreal Tower is closed. It's like you don't get that full experience, but now
Yeah.
you can then go to the Unicom and then flip over to Say Intentions, so you can have that live when it is, and then AI when it isn't.
And that's our view, by the way. That's what we're hoping, is that the day will come when they'll feel compelled to work with us to create an end-to-end coverage experience where, gee, if you're in an area that's covered by VATSIM, great, you get a human controller. But for those large gaps where you're of your flight where you're not, our stuff would seamlessly step in and work that way. We've solved it. We didn't really need their help to solve it for outbound flights. So as you're departing a coverage area, our stuff steps in and takes over automatically.
Yeah,
We've not yet solved it for inbound flights. So as you're arriving into a coverage area, mostly because we need to give them some information about the flight and things like
yeah,
that. So far, the discussions we've had with them have gone nowhere. There's people there that are very interested in this, and there's people there, I can tell you straight up, that are not interested in this.
yeah,
And it's confusing to me why not, because again, we're just trying to make sure that the flight simmers have the best possible experience. But I hope the day comes when that conversation becomes possible.
yeah,
We're definitely not there yet.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Derek was asking, can you comment on Beyond ATC and your injection method? I
I
guess
can
the
to some
difference.
extent. To be completely honest with you, I don't know that much about how they're doing it, and their mechanism or their thing. I don't have the software on my system. I've never played with it. I've seen some videos of it. It looks really, really cool. In fact, I don't think there's any question that what they've built is, at the time that it was released, it was probably the best traffic injector ever made, for flight sim. And those guys were a phenomenal deal for one-time $30 fee to get everything
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they've baked into that thing. Jeez. That's got to be one of the best add-ons ever created for flight simulators, right? So, but I can comment a little bit on a fundamental philosophy that we've taken that is different, which is, we wanted, when it comes to traffic injection, the name of the game is performance, right? That FPS hit that you get as soon as you start adding more airplanes into your world is something that we're all struggling with, right? And we took a fundamental philosophy that matches what we've always done, which is to say, if the computation can be done in the cloud, then we want it done in the cloud, because we want your PC to be free for running the flight simulator itself. Now, there's a few things that we can't do in the cloud. One of them is, the actual rendering of the 3D object and the actual animation of the 3D object. Those two things have to be done inside of your PC. But other than that, we have successfully moved everything else into the cloud. So all of the core math that has to be done, all of the ATC controlling that has to be done, everything else around that traffic, we've been able to move into the cloud. And the result is what we think is a best-in-class performance experience inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And all of our customers report the same thing. Hey, this thing is really easy on the FPS. Does it have zero impact on frame rate? No, again, because anytime you add 3D objects and animate them, your simulator is going to slow down, right? But we feel like we've taken an approach that has an absolutely minimal possible impact on your sim, and we're super proud of it. Super proud of it. That's probably the one thing that I would comment on that we've probably done differently. And again, not a knock on what they've done, because I think for the price that they charge, geez, what a tremendous value. What amazing value. So yeah, but that would be the one thing that I say we've done differently.
Actually, on that, somewhat on that topic, I've got this on, I've got it turned up to 11, the traffic injection. But is 11, is that supposed to be closer to real life traffic?
No, 11 was more of an inside joke. So, normally the sliders all go from 1 to 10. I'm curious. I'm going to ask this. I want people in the chat room to comment. If you get the joke of it goes to 11, can you just comment in the chat room? I'm just curious. There's a culture reference here, and I'm always wondering if it ended up falling flat on the flight sim community or not. I don't know. So if you know what it is, say in the chat room that you sort of got the joke. But no, the idea being with, well, I should back up. Yes, if you crank it all the way up, the idea is that it should give you basically all the traffic that the real world is going to have. It's not removing anything to limit the, to give you better performance or things like that. I'm not getting a ton of response here from people in this, so I bet my joke fell flat. There was a movie created I want to say in the 80s. It might have been the late 70s, late 70s, early 80s, called This Is Spinal Tap. And it was a fake documentary where they followed around a fake heavy metal band called Spinal Tap, and did, sent a camera crew with them on the road and everything. And anyway, one day he is showing off his amplifiers, and he says, well, this is what makes our amplifier special. He said, and he showed the amplifier, and it had, the dial that went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And he said, well, it goes, what do you mean it goes to 11? That doesn't make any sense. And the guy goes, well, it's 1 notch louder, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's like, you could be on stage and you could be really rocking out, and then with normal amplifiers, like, you go to 10, and like, where are you supposed to go from there? But with ours, they go to 11. We go one notch more. And so that was supposed to be the joke, is that ours goes to 11. And like I said, I don't think the flight sim community got the joke, and so I may change it because it seems weird otherwise. So yes, 10 or 11 should roughly give you the experience of the airport at that time in that place. Yeah, that's the idea.
And like during the because we're now back into the injection, but like right now I can see a couple of aircraft at LaGuardia right now, but will there be more movement going on? Because
Should be. Yeah, this looks to me like a bug, actually, as I'm looking at the amount of activity going on at LaGuardia right now. So
Yeah,
going back to my original disclaimer where I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
we still got some problems in this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there should be more movement here for sure.
Yeah,
What
because
time
it's
of day is your sim set to? Is this
uh,
morning or is it night?
it's live right now, so it's
So your lifetime. So
yeah,
8 o'clock maybe in
yeah,
LaGuardia. Yeah, I feel like there should be more traffic here. So yeah, I think we're literally sitting here observing,
yeah,
one of the many things that we're trying to sort out with it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because it shows 49 parked, 36 active.
So the 36 active is not necessarily active on the ground. In fact, if you pull
Yeah,
up something like little nav map or something, you'll see lots of airplanes, cruising around within your little reality bubble there. So yeah, but I do feel like, yeah, there probably ought to be a little more going on at LaGuardia at 8 p.m. in New York right now.
yeah. Okay.
So yeah, all the little things we're fixing. Yeah.
Yeah, and Derek got the joke.
Good. Somebody got it. Good.
Did you see there another question?
Yeah, I did. Let me scroll up and just grab it really quick. So one of the questions was, is how is procedural ATC separation handled under high density ops? Can I provide insight into conflict resolution? This is an area where the core logic is all there, still needs a ton more work. But believe it or not, math is really good at solving these problems. We can sense when conflict is about to occur. We can sense separation issues. We can sense all this stuff. And it's really just a matter of, giving the appropriate ATC instructions to the airplanes. One thing that we've done that is really cool and unique is that each of the airplanes in our traffic injection simulation is its own AI entity. And so it really is just a matter of making sure that all of the correct sequencing instructions are given at all the correct times. It's feature complete, meaning we have the capability of doing that. But again, lots of bugs and some of that's not working correctly right now. But again, it improves every day. So that one, yes, working on it. And the insight that I would give you to how that's handled is that it's highly mathematical instead of highly AI. AI could probably do it, but it turns out that AI is too slow to do it exceptionally well. So we've moved that one largely into the realm of math, which is, I think, the correct way to do it. And then the last one that I saw here from the same person, it says, as AI evolves, can living worlds support procedural storytelling, flights impacted by global events? Yes, and regional crisis. We want to do all this stuff. We've hesitated a little bit in implementing some of this because we didn't want to be accused of profiting off of disasters. Like there was a hurricane in, I don't remember where here, 6 months ago, and we were going to start closing the airport, and we were going to start doing all kinds of things that mimicked what was happening in real life. In fact, to some extent, the AI was telling us, "Hey, this airport's supposed to be closed right now, and what are we doing?" It was behaving strangely because of it. And we had a long discussion as an admin team about that, and ultimately decided to sort of take minimal impact. Like if an airport or a runway was closed, we wanted to simulate that, but we didn't want to do too much more. Again, because we didn't want people accusing us of sort of showboating this disaster and, hey, look how cool this is that this disaster is going on.
Yeah.
And look at the sim responding and look again, that phrase of look how cool it is that this disaster is happening. We wanted to be so careful with that. So yeah, we're certainly capable of this, and we're trying to find the right line there between sort of making these features super cool and interesting and people saying, hey, what are you doing? Right? People are suffering. So
yeah, and yeah, Speedy Retreat was saying how like when you dropped firefighting ops and sky ops.
That was bad timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The LA fires were going on at the time, and here we are. That was terrible timing. It was a total coincidence.
Yeah.
And LA fires were going on, people's houses were burning down, and we dropped this new feature about how you can go do aerial firefighting. And I was like, oh man, this this couldn't be worse. Because again, we're not trying to make a game out of this stuff. We're not trying to make a game out of people suffering and stuff like that. That is not our goal. And that was just terrible timing. Ultimately, we decided to move forward with it anyway, and the community was kind to us. Although I did hear a few comments like, what are you guys doing? But that wasn't our goal.
Yeah, because you always get those comments because like if there's no wildfires in LA, well, it could be up in Alberta. It could be,
There's always a wildfire somewhere,
yeah,
right?
somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, but you understand where I'm going
yeah,
with this, which is we want to do all that. I want to be sensitive to
yeah,
to what's going on in the real world too.
yeah.
Yeah. I think
Another,
I got all the questions that were at the top. There might be more in there, but if your viewers have questions and want to toss them in here, I'm an open book. I'll talk about anything.
Virtue Sim had asked one already. I think it was about there's a tablet that is great in VR. And actually, thanks for your videos, Virtue Sim, because I actually watched some yesterday trying to figure out VR for myself. But there's a tablet that is great in VR, the all-in-one tablet. It is possible to work with the developer to have the SiZlingPopcorn panel on that tablet. They have apps
I saw that one. Yeah, to get our stuff inside the tablet.
yeah.
I'm not familiar with the product, but I replied to that in your chat room, and the good news is we already have an API for it. And so yeah, if that developer will reach out to me, I'll hand them the docs on how to do it. It's really simple. That would be really cool. I'd love to have our stuff in there. Yeah. Can sayintentions put aircraft in hold during heavy traffic? Yes, we can. We have full ability to do holds right now. I actually have it turned off at the moment, but traffic-based holds are coming. This is a funny one. We get this question a lot, almost like people think that holds happen all the time in real life. Like your stuff isn't realistic because I've never been put into a hold. In real life, holds are exceptionally rare, right? Holds mean ATC screwed up. And so it's quite rare. That said, they do happen. I built it all out here a little while ago. It's off right now. I do hope to have it back on within the next 1 to 2 weeks. So yeah, we do have that capability, and it will be back here pretty shortly. It had a nasty bug in it, and I shut it off for a bit, but it's coming back soon. What we're simulating is exceptions that can occur at the airport itself, because that's usually the only time an aircraft will get put into a hold. For example, if there's a fuel spillage on a runway and they have to shut down a runway, now they've got to resequence everybody, and a couple airplanes are going to lose the lottery and get put into a hold. Yeah, really bad weather can do it. Although even in really bad weather, they try not to put aircraft into holds. They'd much rather divert them. Really bad weather, usually they know well in advance. So in the 80s and 90s, it was really common to put aircraft in holds for really bad weather. Now we're much better at predicting it, and aircraft will instead divert or never take off, because they know that the weather is about to get really bad, and they don't want to strand passengers in strange places. So yeah, weather is definitely a situation where they'll put aircraft into a hold, but even then, it's exceptionally unusual.
Do we have diversions with the ATC right now?
We do. Yeah, okay. Diversions work great.
Okay, I've never had a diversion. I've had the bird strike, but not the diversion yet.
Yeah, well, so ATC won't divert you.
Okay.
You would have to ask for the diversion. So you would have to, it would, like your cabin crisis feature, where maybe a passenger is having a medical emergency, would be a perfect example of when you might use that diversion feature.
Okay. It's more so you're talking about the diversion of the AI infected traffic.
Diverting the AI traffic. No, we don't have that yet. That would be cool. Yeah, I'd throw that on the list. I hope the day comes soon when that's like our top problem with traffic. So let's put that on the list though, for sure.
Speedy retreat holds are the relationship destroyer. They will come for
sweetie, don't worry, my flight's going to be over in 10 minutes here. I'll be on the ground. I'll be down for dinner shortly. Oh no, ATC just put me into a hold, and you're going to be a little late for dinner, sweetheart. I can see how that would go over really well. That's funny.
Yeah.
This is where I mentioned that when exceptions occur, everybody wants it to be hyper realistic and hyper immersive, and I want all the things that happen in real life. And I mentioned this at the beginning of our discussion here, but everybody wants that right up until it happens to them, and then they're like, "Hey, you ruined my flight. I didn't want that. I didn't want that."
Yeah.
And so it is kind of funny to try to find that balance.
Yeah, but one day you'll flick the switch on the birds, and I'll get some damage from those birds.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's gonna happen. I know it. By the way, ATC Swede, you're more of an expert on holds than I am. It sounds like you're a real world air traffic controller, so I need to defer to the expert on those. But yeah, like I said, holds coming. I soon. I promise. We'll bring them back. We're gonna get them in there. Yeah, Marigen has a funny story here about the elephant. Somebody said, let's see, it was who said it? Virtue Sim said, by the way, I love that you can ask for a follow me car instead of arrows. You can. I don't think our follow me car is all that interesting, but our AI logic will actually, if you say, can I get a follow me car? It's actually quite intelligent at looking at the available objects in the sim library and things like that. And we had a very funny situation where somebody said something about, can I get a follow me? The AI thought that the guy said, can I get a follow me hippopotamus? Because the name of the airport was like Hippocampus Airport or something. And so the AI thought that it misinterpreted what he said. And all of a sudden, no kidding, like an animated hippo, the AI grabs the hippo and injects it instead of the car and drops it in front of the pilot. He's like, there's your follow me hippo. And the hippo like waddles off to the runway. And fortunately he was recording this when it happened. And I was crying. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we, of course, we discovered that it'll do this for a number of objects, giraffes, hippos, there's a bear. And again, it's just, the matchup of the vocabulary to the objects. And we've had some very funny things happen that are so funny that you go, oh my gosh, I should fix that. And then you go, nah, I'm not fixing that. That's too funny.
Yeah, because like with the SkyOps part of things, you're injecting like these different objects into the sim for that story. I haven't been in it for a while, but I want to get back into that.
Yeah, so with SkyOps, and again, just another example of just more bang for your buck that's in this thing. It's a full like AI generated, generative AI mission system where not only will it build out like a narrative for your mission and a location and all this stuff, but we gave it like access to your sim object library and said, here's the stuff that's available that you can use, and it will sort of look through that and find things to create the incident scene. So if it's a snowmobiling accident and there's snowmobiles in your sim object library, you're going to see, some guys in some snowmobiles and, a signal flare and things like that. So it tries to create this realistic incident scene based on, the collection of sim objects available and giving that to the AI. That was a super cool project. That's the kind of stuff where, it's hard not to like get super nerded out and geeked out over this stuff as we're sort of giving the AI these extra capabilities that nobody else out there is messing with. And the results sometimes are terrible, and sometimes, like in the case of the SkyOps mission system, they're just spectacularly cool.
And it's like, and it changes, because I still remember the first time I did one. I was doing it here in Halifax, and it was like I had to go like just like the sounds and like the voice. I was almost getting emotional like with the story, and I'm like, now I gotta go rescue this person and then bring him to the hospital where my wife works. And I'm like, oh
my gosh,
I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, this was like, it was getting real for me. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
That is so cool. What a great use of this whole thing. Yeah, we want this to feel real. By the way, we have, I won't give the details, but we have a really cool upcoming partnership with an aviation related charity around SkyOps. And we're going to make it so that when you fly certain types of missions, we make a donation to that charity. and the mission type will be directly related to what this charity does. And so stay tuned for that. I want to get all the details like worked out first.
Yeah.
But this is going to be so cool because you will literally be able to make a difference when you fly your sim, your flight in the flight sim.
Wow.
So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. I'm very excited about that one.
Yeah. How they scurry quick, the giraffe and
the giraffes. Oh, so funny. Yeah. So we're hitting here like the 90-minute mark.
Yeah.
I don't see any more questions in here.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I think.
Let's see.
So
I think we got them.
So right now, like over the next month, what should we be expecting? Like stuff that's been announced, unannounced stuff.
Oh boy. So I think I hinted towards, the hopefully an announcement with a partnership with a charity that I'm very excited about. I gave you a little bit of a hint about a potential announcement for Oshkosh arrival stuff that may be coming again. We haven't officially said anything, so you're getting a little bit of an early an early preview of what might be coming there. We do have one more that I can probably mention if you want a little bit of an inside scoop here for your for your viewers here, your subscribers, that I'm really excited about. Are you familiar with Skynet and what we've done with our Skynet product?
I've followed it, but I've never used it, so I'm not exactly sure. Net of Sky.
Yeah. So Skynet, we released, I don't know, 6 months ago or so. It was kind of a natural evolution of some of the things we were building for traffic. And so many of our features are sort of offshoots of things we're already working on. But Skynet was one of those where we said, hey, we're in this position where we've got a really good model matcher. We've got really good kind of multiplayer capability, et cetera, et cetera. And we said, hey, what if we made it so that we could release a drop-in replacement for the MSFS multiplayer system. Those of you who use the MSFS multiplayer system know its limitations. They know some of the challenges that it has. And, there is definitely room for a new multiplayer engine. And so, we released this thing called Skynet, and it's available free to all of our subscribers, all of our Entourage customers. Basically, if you're a SayIntentions customer, Skynet is available to you now. It's baked into your subscription, and you can use a group code so that you can organize a group flight and you can see each other. And again, you get our model matcher and things like that. One of the things that we're hoping to announce here within the next 30 days, maybe much sooner than that, in fact, is that we want to make Skynet available to everybody, the whole flight sim community for free. So no subscription required. You don't have to be a SayIntentions customer. You don't have to give us any money. But we want to give Skynet free to everybody, to the whole community, unlimited use. Just take it and have it. So stay tuned for that announcement as well. Really excited about that one. No more time delay, exactly.
And with that, you were talking about group. So like, is it ads with ATC or is it more so just seeing each other?
Yeah, so no, the idea is more, there's no ATC component to it for the free version, right? Okay, so if you're in the free version, but yeah, the idea is purely that you'll be able to see everybody who's in your group. So if you did a group event, you would just enter a group code. You pick the code. It could be popcorn, and everybody who uses that group code would then be able to see each other at the airport at the same time or in flight at the same time, et cetera, et cetera. And we've done some fun things, useful things for big group flights where if people are behaving in an anomalous way, and this is the biggest problem with the MSFS multiplayer system, is that people will go in and just start behaving like weirdos, and it just gets really weird, right? Slewing around in circles and all kinds of weird things. So one of the features I love about Skynet is that if an aircraft starts behaving in an anomalous way, it just temporarily removes them so that everybody is not affected by this weirdo who's misbehaving. So the idea is to keep it so that you got to be flying a normal flight, and then you get to be part of the group.
All right.
Again, free. It'll be free for everybody.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that because I've done group flights over the last like 5 years, and yeah, there's definitely times when someone then like they're constantly just flying into you, and it's like they're showing up in a Boeing, we're in bush planes, and it's like
Right.
uh,
Right. And it just ruins it. It's like, come on, man. We're just trying to have a good time here and you're just wrecking it. And so yeah, that's the one thing about Skynet that I'm most proud of.
yeah,
And I know Tom Mergen, who's in the chat room here, was kind of the architect behind Skynet. But from day one, we said it's got to have this feature, and so yeah, that's been baked in since the very first line of code that we wrote. Yeah,
yeah,
group admins can override the aircraft types of members. So if somebody's coming in and they're in a, if you're trying to do a bush flight and somebody
yeah.
shows up in a 737, you can actually go in and change their plane to a bush plane.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, because like on a stream, it's like I don't know, it's like the in most cases a kid just wanting the attention. It's like, hey, I'm in front of you.
Yeah.
I don't know, like
Yeah, look how hilarious I am, and it's just it's dumb.
Or there was a guy one time, and it was his name was Seymour Butts, like spelt, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't want
hilarious.
My camera. Yeah, I don't want my camera on that, and so he would try to get close, and I would move the camera, constantly moving the camera. Well, this just get him out, boom.
Yeah. You'd be able to remove somebody from the group, or like I said, if they're doing that, if they're moving into strange positions, the system would just eject them, and they would be able to come back as soon as they started behaving normally again. It would put them back in the flight. But yeah, the instant it detects an anomalous behavior, it ejects them. It's awesome. It's awesome for group flights.
But yeah, I think that's it for questions, and lots of stuff coming out. Thank you, Brian, for the time. The share this stuff with us. Always.
Well, thank you. This has been awesome. This is the first time we've chatted together, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this. And hopefully, forgive me for not shutting up about our stuff. I love talking about what we're doing. So thank you for the opportunity to interact with your group here, and this has been tons of fun.
Yeah, it's the first time we've done an interview actually on the channel. So I'm like, hey, this is like maybe the opening of bring in some more devs and
heck yeah. Most flight sim developers love talking about their stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this has been great.
Especially when, as the consumer, you think, oh, the dev is not doing this or not doing that. Well, you talk to them, they're a real human being, like, and they're working on stuff. But yeah. It's interesting to see the other side of things rather than just the website. But thanks everybody for the questions out there, and for showing up. Great times, and again, thanks Brian, and we'll see you all in this next